Live from New York. It's a show that's wishing you a very happy Labor Day, and I hope you had a great weekend watching all the college football.
And
Great.
I know it wasn't lost on Brew, the irony that on Labor Day of all days is maybe the first time ever you call for someone to lose their job.
Who?
Alabama's head coach. First words out of your mouth on the
was
walk-in
stunned.
video. Everyone was
Wilds
stunned.
calling for
Wilds
somebody's
just
head.
immediately.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm saying it's hot seat
His
time.
seat is burning up. He needs to win like the next 11 straight.
11 straight
Yeah.
seems like a lot.
His
Certainly
seat is,
needs to win.
I
win all
like
the games
Alabama's
going
attitude,
forward. Well, oh, yeah.
fan base wise.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
Like,
I get-
we're 0-1. Change things up.
well, that's coming off of last year when they lost those 5 games.
I also think his buyout, though, is like $60
70
million.
74. I think.
Okay, yeah,
so I don't
it's
know.
a
That's
lot.
gonna be
It
interesting.
seems like a little too much.
We'll see how
seems
much
like
they
you have to
really-
ride out the storm here.
I will contribute a little bit.
We're gonna see
Why
how
do you like
really how
Alabama?
important
Roll Tide.
football is.
Why do you like Alabama?
Because they're the best.
But they're not.
But they are traditionalists.
Okay.
I am surprised you're.
Yeah,
on them
I
right
think
now.
And I got
you're
a-
an
and I got
Ohio
a-
State
I
guy.
got my wife did a documentary.
Yeah, but your wife went to Wisconsin.
Yeah, I like Wisconsin too.
Okay, here we go. Let's start this show.
Here are the numbers: 17 for 3, which we discussed, 5.7 yards per pass, 1 touchdown, air quotes, hit the ground, 1 interception. It was good enough, but it hit the ground. 10 rushes for 38 yards, and here's what I liked on the bottom line: 1 for 5 on those intermediate throws.
And it, by
Just
my
weren't
own
good.
personal charting, 5 of 18 on passes past the sticks.
Ooh, you're doing
Like just by
Yeah.
just watching, I rewatched it.
And some of those were short.
Yes.
Because I only had
Behind.
3 passes of 10 or more yards.
Yeah,
3 completions.
But one of
10 or
them
more
was, it was 3rd and 1 and they threw it to,
Right.
just past the sticks was very.
So what do you make of his performance overall?
It's kind of what I was talking about all week.
You called this classic one.
And thank you, KW. And I understand that one of the media's Achilles heels is people don't embrace a classic 3 the way I do. Instantly, obviously wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a lot of folks who were telling us for the last few weeks how great he was going to be, the answer can't be, oh, I overrated him, or he just wasn't quite ready, or maybe the kid who went to a small high school, hasn't played much, has never started on the road in Ohio State, in Columbus, against that defense was going to be a tough putt. The answer is, man, Matt Patricia's just Dick LeBeau reincarnate. And in fact, there's no college player ever has to go against an NFL failed defensive coordinator. Meanwhile, in a few hours tonight, Josh Hoover is going to go up against Bill Belichick, and I think he'll look better, even though I don't think he is better than Arch Manning because he's experienced. Like, this was an insane ask for Arch Manning, who has thrown, like we talked about, less than 100 passes, who did not come from, like, a 6A Texas school going up against a bunch of pros.
So you think he was overrated in high school?
I think that he had, if you look at his high school numbers against, again, not a football power, but his family's history there, they're just fine. The team never was dominant. You know what I mean? They never, a lot of it was the measurables, the name, and the projection, which is fine. I'm not saying I'm out on Arch Manning.
Right.
I'm saying him struggling in Columbus in the first big spot of his life or of his college career should not have been shocking. And I thought it was about, now I didn't expect they'd only score 7 points, but I thought they'd lose. I thought he would look shaky. I don't think it's an overall indictment on him. I think the commentary leading up to the game was a little overly optimistic because he's a Manning playing college football for what was the #1 team in the nation. And by the way, ESPN FBI, still #1 with a bullet. Ohio State's 3. Maybe if they beat them again, they'll pass them.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is true. By a lot. #1 by a lot. I told you that FBI stuff's nonsense, but go ahead.
Yeah, they're definitely nonsense. He was terrible. Period. Now, and I don't know if you're not giving Matt Patricia credit. I thought Patricia did a great job, especially for
agreed.
a former offensive coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. He had to switch sides of the ball.
Right. But I mean, he disguised, he threw some NFL stuff at him, disguises up front, disguises in the backfield. Guys were covered. Obviously, they have Caleb Downs, the best defensive back in the country. So Patricia and all that was great. But Arch Manning was off.
First pass of the game.
Yeah, 38% of his passes, according to PFF, Pro Football Focus, were off target.
This is the first play of the game, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and I counted, we were talking about it earlier, he didn't complete a pass for 10 yards or more until the fourth quarter. He only completed 3, and that was Ohio State's up 14-0. They just get a little softer.
But it was sweet. Like the first one that he finally connected
That was a great pass.
Made me think, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, and I'm not out on him. I'm not saying he's not going to be great, and I think he'll have a very good season, maybe a great season. And I agree with Nick. First start on the road against Ohio State. We know they got a bunch of pros on that defense, so that's fine. But look at these, like, I'm going to say this. As great as Ohio State was, hold on, Dust, hold on this. As good as Ohio State was, I think if Arch Manning had been on target, Texas could have won this game.
Yeah.
If what we were just watching, it was 8 minutes left in the game. It was 3rd and 3, I believe.
Yep.
The guy's open past the sticks, first down right there, and he just underthrows him.
Yep.
So this is, he just throws it right at his feet, okay? And then they score. He made a nice throw on the touchdown and made another nice throw late in the game where he threw, it wasn't a completion, but he put it in the right spot. It was just well defensed. But the last drive of the game for Texas, they're down 7. They need to score. There's about 2 minutes left.
There it is.
He misses. This guy's wide open. So you're going to be at your 40-yard line. You complete that. This one just throws it behind him. That's the 2nd and 5. Then this is 3rd and 5. And he's got the guy open as right. Look at that.
That was really bad, man.
Yeah,
because
and he throws
has
it
room to run. And then they're in business.
So they could have. And again, I'm not taking anything away from the Buckeyes, but Texas could have won this game had he been on target.
What's the other play he couldn't execute?
Well, look, it's so effective that you got to ban it from the NFL. But when anyone else does it, you can't solve the tush push. To that point, I wonder if and he wasn't great, and the stats weren't great, and we put up a full screen and say it wasn't great. If that tush push had been successful, and it was poorly executed, it didn't look like it had a chance. It didn't even look like a tush push. Right. It just looked like a
bad sneak.
Sneak, yes. Would we be like, wow, defensive battle in Columbus? Texas and Ohio State going at each other. It came down to a field goal, 17.
Maybe. And listen, they have San Jose State, then UTEP, then Sam Houston State. So I think he could have 11 touchdowns and 1 pick in the next 3 games. Yep. But then they're in Florida, and then they play Oklahoma, and it's just going to be tough. And this is where I push back on a little bit of the expectation. You mentioned Caleb Downs, who's the best player in college, certainly the best defense player, maybe the best player in college football. They're the same high school class. He is, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's not a 19-year-old. This is one of the reasons I am, to this day, obviously, despite a underwhelming rookie year, so sure about Caleb, is Caleb's first ever college action came trailing in the Red River Shootout against Oklahoma, and immediately was like, oh, that guy, I don't care that he's 19, that guy looks like the best player on the field. But that is incredibly rare. And so asking Arch to do that, to me, was unfair. And asking Arch to do that when Texas last year decided, hey, even though it's year 2, we're better off with Quinn Ewers, who, by the way, was a very good
pick.
Right, was a very good college player, and they were trying to win a national championship, and they got in the playoff. But still, we don't yet have evidence on the football field, high school or college, that this guy is the future, no doubt, number 1 overall pick.
Agree.
And so I'm not.
And he did look, in fairness to him, and it wasn't a great competition, he looked very good last year when he played.
Yes.
Like the moments he played, it was like, oh, wow. A lot of people felt like he should have been ahead of Ewers.
Yeah.
And he probably could have, but obviously tough to deal with Ohio State in the first game.
More on Arches throughout the day. Coach Mangini will be here. Danny Parkin's coming up a little bit later, too. Podcast problems. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated with an autopsy on Micah's trade and tenure in Dallas. He's writing, there's a difference between this negotiation and the previous 3. Martin, Lamb, and Prescott were very popular in the locker room. It's not the case with Parsons, who has rankled teammates in different ways, seen by some as egotistical and self-centered. His podcast, Brew, has created issues too that go all the way up to quarterback Dak Prescott. Your reaction, and could Dallas be better off without Micah?
No. Now, look, in the future, if the first-round picks they got from Green Bay pop and they make great picks, or they turn it, Jerry mentioned maybe turning it into 5 players. And, you know, they could theoretically make some good draft picks and trades or moves where they get better everywhere, right? They've got more good players than they have now, so that could work out. But this year, no way. All right, we've already talked about it, and I won't get all into the EPA and all that, but how a lot of these numbers suggest that Dallas, with Micah on the floor, on the court, on the field,
all of the above.
All of the above.
On the pitch.
For 4 years,
was the best.
They were the best defense in the league. With him off the field, they were the worst defense in the league. And Jerry can talk about, well, we're going to be better against the run. Well, you know how, let's say theoretically, and we'll see if that's proven out, they are better against the run. But they're not going to have as good of a pass rush, if any pass rush at all. So you know what teams will do? Gash them through the air, which will open up the run. All right, so there's no way they're going to be better. And I get it if, you know, I even mentioned that there have been little reports here and there about the locker room and Micah rubbing people the wrong way. And not just reports.
We saw the safety, was it Malik Hooker?
Who
had an issue with it. DeMarcus Lawrence on his way out of town. It's not just like anonymous reports. Like there was
some issues
there. There was some stuff.
You don't, whether it's the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, like, every team's not going to get along. Everybody doesn't have to be buddies, all right? As long as you get it done on the field. And if there's issues with Dak and Micah, Dak's on one side of the ball, Micah's on the other, right? Like, no. There's no way they're better off without Micah Parsons.
Brian Curtis, the great writer and media reporter, always talks about these, like, post-trade stories or post-coach firing stories as the now they tell us. You know what I mean? The emptying the notebook, and some of the lines in this were egotistical and self-centered. You know what I mean? About Mike is one of the quotes. To which I say, I don't care. I have a weird rule about football. Your pass rusher or your wide receiver can be kind of jerks or a little crazy or a lot to deal with, because that's the history of the greats at that position. Can't have your quarterback doing this. I oddly don't think you can have your center doing this either. You know what I mean? Well,
he has the ball.
No, I think there are, but I think that, yes, I understand Dwight Freeney and Bruce Smith were consummate pros, but Lawrence Taylor and Derek Thomas and newly minted Hall of Famer Jared Allen and our friend Terrell Suggs and all-time legend Von Miller and Patriot great Chandler Jones and Cowboy legend Charles Haley all did a bit more than podcasting en route to Hall of Fames and championships and 100-plus sacks. Like, it's okay. It is the team's job to deal with the kind of erratic, crazy guy, which I don't think Micah is, by the way, that goes after the quarterback. Micah's not crazy. He's not a bad guy. He's not getting in trouble. He's a little talkative. He has the podcast. You know what I mean? But so
in the grand scheme of things,
that's my point.
It's about
even what they've dealt with in Dallas.
That's my point. In the grand scheme of things, it is so much better than if we were to tell you, we have an all-pro pass rusher, but he's a lot to deal with.
He's got some issues.
How far down?
He's got a microphone.
Right. That's
he's got an RSS feed.
Right.
He doesn't think Dak's one of the best five quarterbacks
in the league. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and as far as the, he plays out of structure, don't care either. Like, I care if it's not effective. And you know what I mean? Like, so I think last year, I'll give you an example. There were a lot of, you guys know how much I love local talk radio. A big topic in Pittsburgh on talk radio last year was Minka Fitzpatrick is undermining the defense by kind of doing his own thing, and it's hurting everybody, whatever it is. I'm yet to see the evidence that, you know what, Micah's hurting us. Like, is it boom or bust at times? Are there times that plays get away that wouldn't have if he would have just stayed within the assignment? I'm sure. But all, to Brew's point, the data backs up. He more than makes up for it with the strip sacks and the other things. So to me, this is what the kids would call cope. Like trying to make it you feel better about trading away the best player on your team.
I do wonder if we're about to get another round of stories coming out, which is the classic, you know what? In Green Bay, it's all about football.
Well,
back in Dallas, there's a lot of other stuff. I was doing my pod.
You mean from Micah?
Either from Micah or, I don't know, but I just wonder how Micah's, we've seen that story come out a few times.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Micah's, not behavior, but like, will his attitude towards the game be different in Green Bay than it is in Dallas? Not that there was anything wrong with it in Dallas.
No, there was. That's true. That's my whole mantra these past several years. Other teams, including the Packers, obviously, they're football franchises.
Yeah.
It's about football in Green Bay. Dallas is a circus, and when it comes from the top down, of course, players, particularly ones with personality, they might lean toward that way anyway. When the owner is talking all the time, sure, give me a podcast, give me a microphone. I'm going to say whatever I want.
But you don't think he's going to stop the pod? I don't.
I don't know. I mean, I won't have a problem if he keeps it going, but to your point, maybe he does and say, you know what, we're about football here. It's a different atmosphere. I don't know.
I thought some of the, if you read, and as I know Brew did, I'm sure you did as well, but Brew read the whole thing twice.
I glanced at it.
For the audience that didn't read it, there was a few lines in there that I just thought were not indicative of the player I've watched for 4 years. One of them, question how much he loves football.
Yeah,
I think that's nonsense. I think that's unfair and the type of thing that, man, I would have needed multiple people that I really respect to tell me that before I write that down. Because there is nothing in Micah's entire football career that says he does not love the game. How much he's improved, his ability to change positions, his ability to thrive under different coordinators, his overall health. I know he hurt his ankle last year, but he's not a guy that's like, oh, came in out of shape and now he's got a soft tissue. Like, there's none of that. And so you can be a captivating or, polarizing personality and also be a crazy hard worker.
Right.
Like, I don't think people say there's questions how much Jason and Travis Kelce love football. They podcast more than he does.
LeBron does a lot of stuff. Nobody questions his love for basketball.
And so, so I just don't, go ahead, KW.
LaMelo.
Speaking of Michael Porter Jr.
Say to that.
Oh, my God.
I told you you got to stop podcasting.
Hey, I got to do the media ombudsman on Thursday.
Okay.
The government needs to get involved.
Michael Porter Jr.
Pull his FCC license.
Yeah.
If you put Michael Porter Jr. on it, you gotta stop.
You gotta stop.
Oh my God.
And you gotta wear clothes when you're
What is he doing?
What's he doing?
I'm still mad about. If I knew the podcast was that bad, I would have never sent those tweets out about Denver winning. Holy cow, Brew! Don't listen to those.
Don't.
New footage of Micah in his Packers uniform. Here he's in, just jogging, but there's some good footage too, where he looks healthy.
Well, all of a sudden his back is fine.
Well, no, Rappaport is saying there was some.
Here look at that.
No, there's a new report that he actually is getting injections, though.
I do love that he's number one, too.
so
Earlier in the week, he donned a colorful sweater and met with the media in Green Bay. He talked about the historic success of the Packers and his place in it. Packers Super Bowl odds under Matt LaFleur, so now they're fifth. It's the highest since 2022.
Since they still had Rodgers.
Yeah, and none of those have worked out. In 2022, they were 8-9 missed. So, Brew, are the Packers officially S-Bob?
This may surprise you because they are my pick to win the NFC. No.
Oh, my God.
All right, because here's the definition as the inventor of the term.
Yeah, of course.
All right, here's the definition of S-Bob. If you don't win or at least reach the Super Bowl, it is painfully disappointing. That's the key. Painfully disappointing.
I didn't realize.
Look, when the Texans or the Texans, the Titans, whoever, don't get to the Super Bowl, they're going to be disappointed. But it is painfully disappointing. And here's the S-Bob teams. Kansas City and Philly, obviously. Kansas City for obvious reasons.
Question.
Philly
because
they just won.
Is it always the people that were just in the Super Bowl, are they always S-Bob?
unless you lose a bunch of your great players.
Or if your quarterback retires, like the Broncos right after Elway retired.
Or even Peyton.
Casey and Philly.
Yeah.
All right, this is the second group. Baltimore, Buffalo, and Detroit. Because obviously Baltimore and Buffalo, your quarterbacks are in there, hit their prime. They've been knocking on the door. Detroit has been knocking on the door and had some disappointing losses. The next group, and I'll put Green Bay with that, Green Bay and Washington. Washington's I'm just saying the quarterback's so young, it's not going to be like probably painfully disappointing. But they had enough success last year, made enough moves where they feel like, hey, we can win the Super Bowl. Green Bay, same way. And this is why I'm saying, Nick, they're so young. For the third straight year, they're the youngest team in the league. So, yeah, they'll be disappointed if they don't get to the Super Bowl. But they're so young, they're going to be like, man, we got something here. We're going to win one next year or the year. I just think they're so young that you're not like, oh, they got to win it this year.
I'm glad you added painfully disappointing to the definition, because Brew Forever, when we've argued about this, has said, like, you're telling me that they're going to be happy if they lose in the conference championship game. And then I say, well, they're not going to be happy. Everyone's going to be sad. But a week later, they're going to say it was a good season. And so now Brew's added a little sauce to it. So I appreciate that. I still, by the way, not to derail this, would include Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is on that list. They're not a young team. They're the oldest team. They think it's realistic.
And Dallas is always SBA.
Of course. That's understood.
Can I listen.
Actually, they're not this
year.
To say it.
Gosh, this show forces us
you agree
to
with.
say
You know you
such
agree
dumb
with
things.
Why? What are you going to say now?
They're not SBOB.
No,
they're not SBOBQ. I don't even remember what that means, and
That's
I don't
not
know.
going to take off.
Know.
That's not going to take
But they
off.
might be J-Lob.
Oh, gosh.
Jordan Love or bust. Because
not to the Super Bowl, just a great season.
No, what I'm saying, I can't remember a quarterback ever, certainly since we've been doing this show, that had the type of playoff game Jordan Love had, and I don't think it was mentioned 48 hours after the game wasn't mentioned again.
That's right.
Like right now, if I say to the audience, like, hey, how'd Jordan Love play in that Eagles playoff game? They're like, not that bad. 3 picks. He had 3 picks against an Eagles team that at the moment was not thought of as this unstoppable juggernaut, and in that game didn't look like an unstoppable juggernaut. Right. They got better every single round. And that's on the heels of the previous year's playoff game, where he obviously was great against the Cowboys.
Well, I think he gets. Don't you think he gets a little grace because of his first playoff game? He's great against the Cowboys.
First playoff game, he's great against the Cowboys.
In Dallas.
But then the next game, they're down 3 with a minute left, and around midfield, and just throws a horrifying pick.
Yeah.
They lose that, and then in the game against Philly, he's bad. And everyone's like, okay, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Herbert's gotten hell for his playoff game. Lamar's gotten some flack for his 2 turnovers. Goff got a lot. Like, he's the one guy who didn't. The Packers clearly believe we've got everything we need because we believe in him and everything else. So this to me, the most interesting person involved in the Micah Parsons trade is Jordan Love. Because we know Micah's going to be excellent. We know the Cowboys are going to be what the Cowboys are going to be. The question for the Packers is Jordan Love good or is Jordan Love great? If he's great, then they are SBOB, even if they don't,
So when you say J-Lob, Jordan Love, do you mean he has to get them to the Super Bowl or he has to have a great season?
What I'm saying is if he's the guy that they clearly believe he is, then they are SBOB moving forward. You know what I mean? Like then they've got everything in place, and he's the guy. That's what I've said.
That's right.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.